Okay, today I'm going to be showing all of you 5 reasons to stop giving women updates about your life that you're dating. So, if you're dating a woman, if you have a girlfriend, if you have a long term girlfriend, whatever the case may be, even if it's a girl that you've only seen a couple times, this is a mistake in my younger years that I'd make all the time. And I didn't even know that I was making this mistake. And since I didn't even know that I was making this mistake, there's nothing I could do to fix it because I didn't understand that it was actually ruining desire in the long term. So, before I kind of get into the 5 reasons why you do not want to give women updates about your life, there is 2 sayings that I constantly use on this channel. The first saying that I always say is I say, the hotter the flame, the shorter the burn. Right? So the hotter the flame, meaning the better chemistry, the better intimacy that you guys have right away, right? Maybe you guys are sleeping together. Maybe you guys are dating. Maybe it's just really good chemistry. The hotter the flame, the shorter the burn. Those interactions fizzle out the fastest. Now, number 2, okay? Another saying that I like to use is you want to make yourself a storybook that she has to uncover page by page that she can never finish. Okay, so if she can never finish it, if she can never get to the end of the storybook, there's constantly new twists and turns and things for her to discover. So because of that, because it took me so many years of trial and error and dating women long term, seeing this girl or that girl or whatever the case may be, I have came to 5 reasons why you want to stop giving women updates about your life. Now, this is very important, so take notes on this video if you need to. Number 1, okay, the first reason why you want to stop giving women updates about your life is because they don't care. They actually don't care. Okay, so after having hundreds of conversations with women over the years, maybe even thousands, if I include the conversations I've had with long-term girlfriends, they don't care. You can talk to them about business. If you're an entrepreneur or if you're crushing it in your career, you can talk to women about your life. Basically, anytime you transition into logical talk, where you're giving logical information about what you're doing, where you're going, anything like that, women oftentimes feel that it's boring. Okay, and the reason why they feel that it's boring is because they are no longer in a mindset where they're feeling emotion through words that you're conveying. They are now thinking about logistics day to day, and their logical brain is turned on, which means that they're logically thinking about stuff that you're doing. So here's what I can tell you. Truthfully, okay, she'd probably rather talk about herself. And I'm not saying that to be bad or to be mean. It's just the truth. She would rather talk about herself, or she would rather keep everything lighthearted and just talk about vibes. So since women like to just vibe out and feel emotion, I stick to basic stuff when I'm talking to them. I stick to nature. I stick to how pretty the sunset looks, how colorful the plants are or the trees are. I stick to food, and I stick to good feelings. That's it. So that's number 1, is they truthfully don't care. And you are going to see why they actually lose interest when you give updates about your life in just a little bit. So stick with me. Now, number 2, okay, the second reason why you do not want to give updates about your life is because it destroys all of the mystery. Okay, so half of her attraction is wondering what you're doing. And once again, this is something that took me years to figure out. Because what you're raised to do as a child, or what you're raised to, do as you're growing up, is you're raised to inform people. You're told to, tell your parents where you're at. You're told to be home at a certain time. If your parents raised you, you're told to, if you go to that friend's house, be sure to text message as soon as you get there so that way everybody knows that you're safe. So this is what you've been conditioned to do. Even I remember at school when I was growing up, you're conditioned to raise your hand to be excused from class to go to the bathroom. So what you've been conditioned to do your whole life is to give people information about you. And you've been told that being a good communicator and filling people in is going to lead to higher degrees of trust. You're told that it's going to strengthen relationships, and you're told that it's going to make the other person feel good because now they have more information about you. This couldn't be further from the truth. The second reason why you want to stop giving women updates about your life is because it destroys all of the mystery. Okay? Half of her attraction is wondering what you're doing. So like I said, the hotter the flame, the shorter the burn. And on top of that, what you're going to notice is that you want to make yourself a storybook that she can never finish. So if you're like a novel or a storybook she has to uncover page by page, she falls deeper and deeper into love and she starts to like you and respect you more. Women like men who are a challenge. Women like men who are a mystery. And the more you refrain from giving people information about you, the more status you're going to appear that you have in their eyes. So that's number 2, okay? Number 3, here's the third reason, or the third conclusion that I've had to kind of come to terms with for myself. The third reason why you do not want to give women updates about your life that you're dating is because it actually displays a low value. And here's why. What I have found is that if you're giving filler information about your life, okay, or if you're displaying some sort of communication habits that is basically giving someone an update, and see, this is important, so stick with me. It's displaying lower value because it's just using filler information. What you're doing, what you're saying, or what you're subconsciously signaling is you're actually using filler information to hopefully maintain her interest. So what happens is your logical brain turns on and you tell yourself, okay, you say, if I give filler information about my day, hey, just went to this restaurant for lunch, now headed back with my coworkers, what are you up to? That type of stuff, filler information that has no value to it, it's just information about your day. Okay, the reason why this lowers your value is because she starts to feel as if you are communicating to hopefully try to hold her interest. You have to remember, with women, everything when it comes to how you move, how you operate, or even the words that come out of your mouth, it's either a display of higher value compared to all of the other options that she could have in her inbox, or it's a display of lower value of all of the other options that she could have in her inbox. So by you giving filler information, this is actually a display of lower value, because what she gets a feeling of, or what she starts to sense, is she starts to sense that you are giving updates about your life to her, or you are letting her know what you're doing and where you're going, all because you're scared to lose her. She starts to go, he's giving me filler information and just letting me have inside access into his day to hopefully keep this conversation going. And that's what you have to remember is, on the cell phone, the text messages can really make or break you. The text messages is oftentimes where you lose out on dating options that you would have had. And what you always want to remember is that sometimes staying silent is actually the best opportunity or the best move that you can make, because at least you don't run the risk of over communicating and saying something that you should not have. Because once she has a different image or a different persona of how you operate, it's very hard to change that. So that's number 3, okay? Number 4, this one also took me a while to figure out. Number 4, they want to come into information and they want to come into conclusions on their own terms. So say that with me one more time. They want to come into information and conclusions on their own terms. Well, why would they want to do this? They want to do this because it shows that you are not self-qualifying. If a woman sees that this guy is trying so hard to talk about all the big plans he's trying to do or execute, if a woman sees that this guy is trying so hard to talk about all the vacations he's planning on going on and all this filler information, this shows that you're trying to self-qualify to her. So they want to come to conclusions on their own terms. If you're talking to a woman, okay, and let's say you guys have been on 2 dates, and let's say you have a big vacation planned to go to Cancun or the Bahamas next week, it's better to just not even tell her that and let her come to that conclusion on her own terms. Maybe she sees a picture of you on social media in that location. Maybe, right? Maybe she asks you what you're up to on her own terms, and you tell her, hey, I'm actually in Cancun or I'm in the Bahamas. They want to kind of come to conclusions on their own terms, because it shows that you're not trying to self-qualify to her. It shows that you're not trying to say, hey, look at me, look at all the amazing things that I have going on, which brings me to point number 5. The more you date, the more relationships you have, the more relationships you start to acquire over the years, you learn what to do and what not to do, which leads me to point number 5. The king reports to nobody. So when I say the king reports to nobody, I want you to picture that you are king of a royal land 1,000 years ago. And you have access to all the best food, all the best restaurants, you have access to all the best people, you have access to everything. Since you are the king would feel the need to report to nobody, which is why women find mysterious men, or men who sometimes don't talk a lot, or sometimes who do not give a lot of information about their life, or keep things very surface level. Women find these men more mysterious, and they want to peel back the layers to find out why these guys are like this. So this is so important. The king reports to nobody. The king doesn't feel the need to give a report on what he's doing, or where he's going, or where he's eating, or why he's eating this, or what are the plans he has for the royal land over the next 10 or 20 years. The king doesn't have to say anything. The reason being is because he is the king. So you have to act like it, okay? When you move in silence, she naturally feels like you are a person of high status. And since she naturally feels like you're a person of high status, it's naturally a world that she wants to come into, because she can feel that you move and you operate different compared to all of the other men out there. So guys, when I tell you these things, like I say in all my videos, this has taken me 10 years to figure out. This has taken me a lot of trial and error to figure out what to do versus what not to do. And that's why being a man is oftentimes hard in certain areas when it comes to your dating life, because it really is a display of competency. And that's why women typically will find older men more attractive, or they will look at older men as more mature a lot of times, because it's usually a display of a guy figuring life out for himself and what to do versus what not to do. So here's what I can tell you. Inside of our new movement, inside of our new community, we have men coming together every single day to not only understand and analyze these truths for themselves, but they finally have other men in their corner to make this not hard. Because you got to remember, when you start kind of going about this path yourself, it's really hard, because the fact is, a lot of times you're all alone. Like, I know when I started on this journey, I was growing up in, a town or in a city where I didn't have a lot of friends who thought the way that I thought. I didn't have a lot of friends who moved the way that I moved. I wanted to always level up certain areas in my life, and I didn't have that support network that probably would have made success easier for me, right? I had to figure this out for myself. I had to do everything alone, and I had nobody to talk to. So even the fact that these guys not only get to master the language of women every single day, but they get to actually talk to one another, share their wins, and share what they're doing, and share how they're actually leveraging some of these techniques to actually have a way better dating life and a better life altogether. It just makes sense. And we've crossed over 430 members. I'm watching this grow every day. And since it's amazing and guys are actually networking and using this for what it was meant to be used for, every single day I'm dropping as much value inside of this as I can, because it's my own private network. And I take a lot of pride in it, because I built this thing from the ground up, and I've been watching guys flourish. So check that out. It's down below in the description. I hope that these 5 points made sense. We'll see you in the next one.